Israelites, what's happening, family? What it do, y'all? Now, y'all know I just recently posted saying coming soon to video. Yah often tries his chosen in fire. So that's still coming up. I probably won't get to that one till tomorrow because right now I'm getting my car serviced over here. I'm getting my car serviced over here. And Hamites own this shop. You know what I'm saying? So this is what I want to say. It was on my heart today at work to say this, and I called myself doing a video on my lunch hour, but I didn't have my USB hooked up to the phone. I mean, I had my USB hooked up to the phone that played the music, and I didn't take it off, and so there was no sound. So this is what I was talking about on lunch hour. And I'm going to call this one, family, I'm going to call this one Israel. Since we've been in our last captivity, everybody that's involved with the other nations hasn't always hated us. Everybody hasn't hated us. You know what I'm saying? I know it's like the Psalm 83 nations against Israel and stuff like that. But and then, you got some of them, people from the nations, because they can see that their Esau's kingdom is coming down and Yah is raising the Israelites back up. And so a lot of people from the nations are trying to come on over with us and act like they always been down with us from the jump. But that is not the case. You know what I'm saying? And talking about stuff like, I got a little black in me and all that. You know what I'm saying? That's a turnoff, because I can speak for myself, but I know my people a lot, as far as like what we accept from people from other nations. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to have a little black in you for us to receive you. You know what I'm saying? Just treat us like a human being. And don't try to look down on us as if we're less than you. And a lot of people through the years have done just that. And see, I'm the type of person, I don't forget stuff like that. When I'm down and out and somebody helped me, I don't care what nation they're from. If they've helped me when I needed help, I don't forget stuff like that. So I'm going to speak on this, that family, Israelite family, since we've been in our last captivity, people from all the nations hasn't hated us. Everybody hasn't hated us. And I know some of y'all got some experiences too, that y'all had some people from other nations y'all was real down and cool with. You know what I'm saying? It's like probably most of them, or maybe half of them, always hated us and looked down on us, but not everybody. Not everybody. I know we all had some experience that it was a kind of good experience that we've had with somebody from the nations in time past. You know what I'm saying? And if you have, put it in the comments. You know what I'm saying? Because like when I be talking with the fire and saying stuff like, they better keep that same energy, the ones that hate us and stuff like that. But for the ones who've always shown us kindness and love, I don't be talking about them. I don't put them in that category. You know what I'm saying? For instance, I'm gonna go back a little bit. Now, I've researched a little history from the town I was born in, Gary, Indiana. You dig? And because they built the world's largest steel mill there, and the city was founded in 1906. Okay, so the first high school was built there in 1908. Okay, and it was just all white kids. Right now, Gary, Indiana is like about 80% chocolate city. You did, but way back in its early beginnings, it was predominantly a white city. And they showed a lot of racism toward the black people that was coming up from the southern states to try to get hired in the mill. Okay, so I read an article about my hometown back in 1927, Emerson High School, the oldest high school in Gary. It's closed now. The oldest high school in Gary. It's all white, and about, I think, 1 or 2 black kids enrolled in it in 1927, and the population of the school was about a little over 800, and about 600 some students walked out of class because they had enrolled 2 black students. Okay, so they dealt with that, and then they had those black kids to go to another school, and then later they built Roosevelt High School. It was an all-black high school because the white people didn't want the black people back then going to the white high schools that was in the city. So anyhow, 1945, Gary was still predominantly a white city. But a lot of people had come up from the southern states, and heard about the mills, East Chicago, Indiana, Gary, Hammond, south side of Chicago. So a lot of people from the southern states was migrating to the Midwest states because of the steel mill, the auto industry in Detroit and stuff like that. But anyway, in 1945, Frank Sinatra had a concert that he was supposed to have been doing in Gary at the City Auditorium down on 7th Avenue. It's a abandoned building now, probably torn down, but back then it was like popping. And so when he got in town, he heard about, it was another, back in Emerson High School, it was 10 black kids enrolled in Emerson High School now. And 600 or some white students left the class. They walked out because they had enrolled 10 black students. And for the life of me, I don't see what kind of black person would do that to their child. Send them to a school like that where everybody hate them. They're going to be ridiculed, talked about, bullied, probably spit on, probably beat up. Man, ain't no way I would ever send my kid to a school like that if I had been back in them days. I'd have been like, they don't want us. Hey, let's leave them alone. We ain't going. I would have never done my child like that. But, to each their own. But anyhow, so Frank Sinatra, when he got in town, he heard about this 600 some white students had walked out of Emerson High School because 10 black students had been enrolled there. And he said that he was not gonna sing, he was not gonna do his concert at the City Auditorium until all those kids went back into school, went back to their classes and accepted the black students who were enrolled there. And eventually they did. Now see, back then it was normal for that kind of racism to be going on. I ain't talking about south of the Mason-Dixie line, I'm talking about north of the Mason-Dixie line. This is northern Indiana. You know what I'm saying? But this country was built on it. You know what I'm saying? But all white people haven't hated us. That's what I'm trying to say, y'all. Everybody from the nations hasn't always hated us. I ain't saying Frank Sinatra was a Negro lover. He just looked at our people as regular people. He saw that it was wrong for white people to be treating black people the way that they did. And he was not the only one. You know what I'm saying? And this is when they were still at the height of their power and stuff. So he didn't have to do that, but he did. That shows me what kind of heart he had. He had care in his heart, and he did not look down on the Negro. He didn't accept white people treating him like that. He said, I'm not gonna sing at the City Auditorium until those 600 and some white kids go back to that school, go back to their classes and accept those 10 black students that are enrolled there. And that's what they did eventually. You know what I'm saying? So, I can't forget about stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? We coming into our, back to the head like Yah promised in his word. You know what I'm saying? But I have a good memory. All white people haven't hated us and treated us like the majority. They haven't. I know y'all got some experiences too. That was another time in my life when, this is back in the 90s. My life was not in Yah yet, and I was getting high. I was doing drugs and stuff back then. I was, drinking, And I couldn't even trust myself with my money. I couldn't trust my own self with my money, y'all. You dig? So and then the girlfriend I had back then, I asked her to hold some money for me. I was just putting it to the test. I asked her to hold some money for me, and she ended up spending it. So what I had in my mind, I wanted to save up for a car. You know what I'm saying? But I had a bank account. But as soon as I put it in that Friday, now we was getting paid Thursday night because I worked on the second shift. I would get it out by Saturday. I'd go get the money. You know what I'm saying? So I couldn't save it because I was on that stuff. You know what I'm saying? And so I had a co-worker that I worked with. His name was Caesar. He's from Mexico. He didn't drink, didn't smoke. He just lift weights and ate his food. He had a woman. They had a little kid. And, but just working with him. We was unloading trucks. Just working with him for months. I could tell by his character that he was a genuine guy. Because he would be sharing some of his personal stuff with me, what he was going through with his girlfriend. You know what I'm saying? And so I didn't tell him that I was using back then. It's like 1998. I was 34 years old. This young dude was 24. And I said, man, I might need you to start holding some of my money for me, man, because I'm going to try to save up for me a car. He said, okay, man, no problem. And so back then we was getting paid every week, and I would drop him $50, $60, $70, $80 a week, you know what I'm saying, until I got up to enough to buy me a car. And he was like, you want my phone number? In case you might want to, like on the weekend, you might want to get some of your money back from me. I said, nah, I don't want your phone number. Because I couldn't trust myself with my money. That's why I ain't had no family up here back then. You know what I'm saying? My kids weren't even born yet that's living up here now. You know what I'm saying? And so we saved me up about like $500 or something like that. And I had a magazine where, they got auto magazines where you can buy used cars and stuff. And I saw one I liked, Buick Regal was. Buick Century, I think it was. And so we made plans. He came and picked me up that Saturday where I lived and took me out to the car lot in Lino Lakes, Minnesota, way up north from the Twin Cities. Didn't charge me no gas or nothing. You know what I'm saying? And he had my money, my $500, he gave it to me. He didn't have to do it. He could have just ran off with my money, you know what I'm saying? But this is a young Mexican dude, that helped me when I needed help. I don't forget stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? I don't forget stuff like that. You dig? I'm just saying, y'all, everybody hasn't always hated us and looked down on us. I have more experiences in my life that I could bring up. You dig? You know what I'm saying? See, it's like this, family. Yah knew who he was going to choose, the Israelites, to be his chosen people, to be set apart, to be his holy nation, above all nations, before we was even born, any of us, even Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, before they were born. Yah already knew who he was going to choose, because he knows the end from the beginning. He knows the end from the beginning, before the beginning. And so just the same, for the people from the nations who will be a part of Yahushua HaMashiach's kingdom when he set it up on this earth, they have also been chosen before they were born. Why? Because Yah knows the end before the beginning of all things. So, you know what I'm saying? People who've always hated us from the nations and stuff like that, they can perpetrate now if they want to, try to get next to us, because they see what's coming down, that he is raising us up in their kingdom. Esau's kingdom and the Gentile kingdom was coming down. They can try to act like they always had a love for us, but they didn't. Yah knows that, and we know that. You know what I'm saying? But there was some, way before we start getting raised back up, people from the nations, white folks, Hispanic folks, handfuls here and there, African folks. Even these guys right here, my mechanics, they African. They from Ethiopia. I've been dealing with these dudes since 2012. They ain't never jacked no prices up on me or nothing like that. Matter of fact, my guardian angel is the one that told me to come here. Sure did. And they ain't in church. You dig what I'm saying? But Yah knows everybody's heart. He knows everybody's heart, family. So can't nobody from the nations, can't nobody pull the wool over his eyes. He know the people who've always accepted us. That's what I'm trying to say. You know, everybody hasn't always hated us. You know what I'm saying? I can go on with more experiences how people from the nations had helped me when I was not even in a position to help myself. You know what I'm saying? So I don't forget stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So people from the nations, you know, 1/3 of Israel will be in Yahushua Mashiach's kingdom on this earth. That will be his 1,000-year rest. And others from the other nations who have always accepted us and never looked down on us. Those are the ones who will be in Yah's kingdom with Yah's people on this earth when Yahushua Mashiach come. You know what I'm saying? For real, for real, for real. So that's all I'm going to say about this. But y'all put it in the comments if y'all have had some experiences like years and years ago, you know, where people from the nations might have helped you when you needed some help or something. I can, you know, add more to this, but it's not necessary. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, when I be speaking from the fire and that anointing be hitting me, you know what I'm saying? I'm not talking about everybody. They know who they are. The ones who always hated us and we ain't never been nothing but a nigga and 2/3 of a human being to them. Those are the ones. You know, you say, okay, like keep that same energy. But judgment time is coming for them too. But Yah knows the ones from the nations who have always shown us kindness. You know what I'm saying? For real. So he hasn't forgotten those people, and neither have I. Okay, so y'all stay tuned for my video that I posted saying coming soon the video. Yah often tries his chosen in fire. Okay, I think I'm gonna post that up like tomorrow when I get off work. I'm getting some work done on my car now. Okay, y'all. So until next time, y'all bless every last one of y'all, even the people from the nations who have already joined themselves with us, and who have always loved us and cared about us. This goes for y'all too. Okay, so until next time, one love and shalom.